What if I told you that your certifications and your degree don't really matter? How surprised would you be? Well, I'm going to tackle that question a bit and get to the bottom of your boring bio. So, if you are suffering from boring bio syndrome in your About section of your website or on your social media platforms or anywhere else you publish and promote yourself, you could be missing out on opportunities to connect with people who will pass right by you because you sound too much like every other trainer or health coach out there. I'm Debra Atkinson. You're listening to the Voice for Fitness Professionals podcast, where I share marketing and sales strategies so that you can create a fitness business and a life you love without ever having to be salesy, pushy, or sleazy. And you can help more people, even in this coronavirus times. All right, we're diving into this. And first of all, so I have to let you know as I record this live, I just finished, hopefully you came along for the ride, a 30-day streak of podcasts for you based on content that would help you the most right away implement and look at exactly what you are doing right now and what you need to be and want to be doing in order to not just survive, but to thrive. Because some businesses, let's face it, won't be here. After this pandemic, maybe before it's even over, they may not make it, but some will thrive. And you, my friend, could be one of those. So this episode is brought to you by the Flipping 50 Fitness Specialist. It's the first and the only hormone balancing fitness certificate and continuing education course that works with or supports work with women in midlife between 45 and 65 roughly, who are in any stage of menopause, perimenopause, that key stage, pre and post menopause, and postmenopause, meaning for the duration, because women have hormones to deal with till death do us part. So if you're serving that group or want to serve them better and solve those hard to solve problems, belly fat, cellulite showing up, energy, brain fog, all of those things are in need of a hormone balancing exercise prescription, where traditional conventional exercise prescription and even functional exercise prescription alone will not work. I'm going to link to that in the show notes. And if you're curious, now's the time to get started. Looking forward to seeing you and answering your questions in there. Let's get back to your boring bio and eradicate it before we're done. Now, something to keep in mind. I've created a download, a worksheet, so that you can fill it out. You can either listen to the podcast and then go get the download, or you can download it right away while you're listening and workshop some of the things I'm giving you. I don't know about you, but when I listen to podcasts that are juicy, full of juicy tips, I will sit and listen to them again after, say, I've gone for a walk or a hike listening to them in order to literally do the juicy things included. So this is one of those podcasts. Juicy, not just for information or storytelling, but literally so that you can do what I'm suggesting and then go put these new, updated, better bios in all the places where it matters. Here you go. A boring bio will not help you get noticed, get hired, or get profitable. You can stand out better on social media and on your website with something unusual. You also want to be doing interviews. So if you're not doing that, that is something we should talk about. How do you get them, book them, and ace them? You want to get booked in the media and on podcasts and summits right now. If you need help, comment and watch for a future training. Better yet, reach out. You're going to want to download the cheat sheet I created for this episode. And if you're creating a niche, serving women in midlife or some other niche, you want to be nailing that everywhere that you are introducing yourself, say on your website, social media, and webinars that you deliver or that you're introduced, on media appearances, podcasts, and summits. You want to be the funny, credible, relatable trainer that stands out. So go download that worksheet so you can do a few of these tricks for yourself. Avoid a boring bio and start standing out as the fitness professional that you are. So, number one, step one is read your current bio. And I would suggest read it out loud. If you're falling asleep, so is somebody else. So that includes anything that you'd share with a podcast host, a media producer, or in your About section. That's where you're going to find your current bio, at least where you should have one. If you don't, we're in trouble. We're going to take step one, but it may be an advantage for you because you can start from scratch based on the things that I'm talking about here. If anybody else could insert their name in your bio and it would work, you're making people yawn. Are the people you really want to work with going to be impressed? That's what you want to be asking. Are you remarkable? Is anyone talking about you? Do they remember you out of all the other trainer bios they read? And listen, if somebody is shopping for a bio, they're thinking about joining a gym or they belong to a gym and they're looking for a trainer who is employed or works at that gym. They're reading all the bios. What will be different about yours that makes you stand out? And here's the deal. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Step two, when you're starting to write that bio, frame it. Want to say a lot in fewer words. You want to pack adjectives in before your name and after your name. So here's an example, and I'm using myself throughout. So literally, these are some of the things that I have used. And what you're going to notice is I couldn't possibly use all of the examples I'm giving you in one single bio or introduction that I give. There's overlap and there's change depending on who the audience is. So here's one example. Best-selling author, 8-time Ironman, golf mom, and Old English Sheepdog owner, Debra Atkinson, ... Something would come next, depending on what I was talking about, the audience for the show or the media. So from that, what do they know about me? In one little sentence, even the beginning of a sentence, I've given myself a little credibility with the best-selling author, and I don't have to lead with degrees and certification, alphabet soup to do it. So I actually may become more credible than someone who has education, but who really hasn't been all that successful. You know, a lot of people can say they've got this certification, that certification, and they've got this degree, but that doesn't mean that they're generating revenue, that they're really creating a life, that they are the expert in that field. So you're looking for what things say that you are, clearly illustrate you are without having to shout it. It makes them wonder, at least, right? So I may gain a little respect among athletes who are in the audience because I've listed 8-time Ironman. I may win moms over who spent time dealing with bleacher butt by saying I'm a golf mom, and pet owners. Anybody in the audience who's a pet owner will think Old English Sheepdog owner is somebody who's very much like them. They've already got something in common with me. So I'm keeping it fun too. They know more about me personally than if I just listed off my degrees. They may have an idea that they like me or that they envy or inspire to be me because of what I've given them. So I've done that here, not by following the stuffy, boring intro everyone else is expecting. Step number 3 is add an element of humor that makes them smile and try the rule of threes. Now, there's a little degree of humor in what I've already listed. So golf mom, seriously, write in an intro or a bio. That's not the typical norm. So even that may make somebody smile. If while I was being introduced, there were slides behind me, maybe bringing up a picture of my Old English Sheepdog, that might make someone laugh or smile. But here's another example of adding humor. So if I've used that 8-time Ironman in the early intro, that first sentence someone might read, somewhere below at the end of the bio, they might be saying this. She's currently swimming in paperwork, riding the desk, and running Flipping 50 more often than training for triathlons. And she's here to share her new book, or here to share her new TEDx talk, or here to share her new program, or here to share why weight loss is one of the worst New Year's resolutions you can make, which was exactly a media appearance I gave at the end of December last year. So you get the idea. So this is like a book, right? The opening chapter then hooks back around, or the closing chapter hooks back around to the very beginning, how you began it. And that's what we're doing here, is kind of reconnecting, closing the circle. People love that completion. Step number 4 is keep it fun. You can do that all the way through. So I share my book titles with my audience because they tell a lot about my attitude about aging and fitness for midlife women and make women smile. So someone might read this. She's the author of 6 books, including You Still Got It, Girl, the After 50 Fitness Formula for Women, and Hot Not Bothered. Now, even my show co-host or the host of that podcast where I'm a guest, my summit host, or the media, especially if they're female in midlife, that makes them smile and laugh while they're reading it. What happens then? Well, they're already thinking this is going to be fun. She's fun, right? But you don't have to have books or funny titles in order to do this. Tell something funny about yourself. And again, the goal here is the unexpected. So for myself, instead of my titles, I might say she's a TEDx speaker, a blender chef, and an average golfer, right? Just something random and funny. So those people who don't really cook or who do may find that funny. And those people who golf, may also find that funny, but non-golfers will find that funny as well. Because non-golfers by midlife have probably tried it and failed miserably at some point in their life. And then you'd add for your host, here's Debra Atkinson, right? So the end of that, she's a TEDx speaker, a blender chef, and an average golfer. Here's Debra Atkinson. So you get the idea. Or you might include, please welcome TEDx speaker and hormone balancing fitness expert whose son still asks when she goes to the kitchen, what's better than burnt? And the answer is not burnt. Here's Debra Atkinson. So you can play it all kinds of ways, but one thing I want to illustrate and come back to for you is when someone says, please send me your bio, this is the way you want it written and typed so that someone else could read it. You're not saying, I have a degree from blah, 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 because that makes your host have to rewrite it. They can't say that. So this is Debra Atkinson. She says, I have a degree from blah, 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 and certifications from XYZ. Literally make it easy for them. When you do that, number 1, you just made their life easier. They love you already. And they want to have you back more likely because, again, you nailed everything for them. All they had to do was read the notes. And typically, when you're working with a show host, you provide the questions that you want them to ask based on the topic that you pitched to them. If you are wondering, wait a minute, there's a lot here I don't know, I can help you with that. But right now, we need to tackle just your boring bio, because even before you get booked, you need to be on social media and on your website as this person, this personality that somebody wants to have on their show. They're not going to come looking for you, most likely. But when you pitch them, they will come look and see, are you who you say you are? The point with the intro is relay your credibility, but yet let them know you're far from perfect. You're not on some podium or pedestal. Poke fun at yourself. They want to know you're just like them. They want to see themselves in you. Step number 5 is write 2 or 3 questions that an interviewer can read before he or she reads your bio. So, literally, again, what are you doing here? You're doing all the work. You're making it so easy for the show host or the podcast host or the summit host to read what you've written or minimally tweak it in the way that they think their listeners would appreciate it. And their job is done. You are going to be someone they love to have and love to have come back. So these questions should be relevant to the topic you're about to talk about. I personally frequently speak about exercise interventions for menopause. So a few questions relevant to the topic and audience of women in midlife might be, what if I told you everything you learned about exercise was a lie? What if you could reduce hot flashes, night sweats, as well as belly fat and get rid of low libido by changing your exercise? Then the host's next line is, well, stay tuned because my next guest is, and that's where they would actually start your bio. So what I've done here is kind of list things in reverse order. These would be the first questions someone might ask. Then you add the initial parts about best-selling author, blah, 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 and add and the finishing touches about please welcome, blah, blah, blah. So these steps in reverse order expand or shrink. Now, if you're doing a 1.5 minute spot on an early morning radio show or television show, you're not going to have all this time. You're going to have maybe a 10-second intro, and that's all they'll do because then they want to talk to you, get the answers to your questions, or you might be doing a live demonstration. So the bio that you write, you should have a short one. You can have a medium one, and then you should have a long one, and put them in the appropriate places. But know that if somebody wants to read the very beginning, they should read all the juiciest stuff right at the top, because some people won't go further. And yet they should get the synopsis of who you are and why they want to stick around. The last thing most media and podcast hosts want is a long bio. Send me your long bio, said no one ever. So make it short and make it fun so that they feel brilliant, witty, and they can take the credit for reading it. Then you make them look good, and you've set yourself up for success even before your interview starts. So that's it. Take these pieces and put them together. If you want help, download the worksheet for this podcast and start having fun. On the worksheet, I'm going to be asking you some questions about your hobbies, your interests, things you may never have thought should be included or are relevant to your bio. But here's the deal, and we've got to remember this. The secret sauce about making your bio more fun, you start to think about yourself differently. You're suddenly more unique, the only you that there is, and you can change everything about your business by creating a bio that is much more fun than this. The saying goes, professional is where the new... Wow, I screwed that up. I'm not going to re-record, but it goes like this. Conversational is the new professional. So if you're not weaving bits and pieces about your real life into your business posts and pages and website, you're missing out. People do business with people, not with businesses. Think about that when you go to your website. Who do you see? What do you see? Is it a business, or do you see the people behind the business? There you have it. That's all I've got for you. But that is enough to avoid a boring bio and stand out as the fitness professional that you are uniquely and no one else can replace. What are you waiting for? Let's start serving people in the way that they deserve and need right now more than ever. You can find the show notes and the download at fitnessmarketingmastery.com/boring bio.